Good day, everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of Why You Do What You Do by the Building Industry Association's Bay Area Young Professionals. I'm your host, Mark Sherlock. Today's guest is the Chief Experience Officer at Cecilian Partners. Please welcome Debra Wyatte. Debra, great to have you on the show today. How you doing?
Thanks, Mark. I'm doing well and happy to be here to share my story.
Can't wait to hear it, and we'll get started. So I already gave you a brief format. We've got 3 questions for you. Answer them however you like. So first question for you, Debra. How did you get to Chief Experience Officer at Cecilian Partners?
Well, I'd like to say I just woke up one day and it presented itself, but that's not the case, which is why we're having this conversation. Really, for me, it's been this whole progression of experience, building on experience to get me to the Chief Experience Officer. It's a lot of experience, apparently. But from my point of view and my career, it's really been focused around people in real estate for the most part. And so having various elements of, residential aspects and people in place, and building upon that, growing within the company that I was with for almost 11 years, having various levels of positions with them to gain more experience and backgrounds in different aspects. And then the position presented itself through the network that I have established to join John and Phil on their wild adventure with prop tech in our industry. And so I'm really excited to be here and share a little bit more of what that means.
Awesome. Could you possibly explain a little bit more about Cecilian Partners as well as your role?
Yeah, so Cecilian Partners really is based on the customer experience in new home construction and leveraging people, technology, and data to kind of bring it all together. And it really kind of focused and started off with the experience side of how you can, purchase a very expensive luxury brand purse and have a better experience than you can buy an entry-level home or even a mid-tier home in that case. And so our founder and CEO, John Cecilian, really had this passion to kind of bring a better experience to the industry because he too had purchased a production home and experienced it for himself. And he was in retail before. And so what we do is, really trying to streamline the communications between builders and developers in a way that makes their lives easier, reduces stress for their teams, streamlines the sales cycle process, as well as pulls all that information together from a consumer aspect to where they can actually find the lot that they want, the home that they can build there in real time, in real inventory. So they don't necessarily go into the black hole of, now you've got 15 builders reaching out to you, which is okay to an extent. However, if you're not meeting their price point, you don't want a townhome. It's not a quality lead. So that's kind of where that marriage comes into play. And my role with the company really is to get our messaging out there and ensure that the experience that our clients are actually having, whether it be builders that are using the technology, our developer clients, and even consumers, is really where it needs to be. If we're going to be, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. If we're going to focus on the experience, we're going to make sure that our clients and anybody that interacts with us has one as well.
Well, very nice. So I always seem to go off on a tangent, but can you talk about your earlier experiences in your career, kind of where you were at before Cecilian and kind of how that led to where you're at now?
Yeah, so my experience before was on the community management side of things. So everything post-purchase. And my roles kind of varied from, the first one was a lifestyle director. So I specifically programmed, the amenity center and the events and the trails and the community that I worked within. So if you think of a lifestyle director as like a cruise director, where they're programming the events on a boat, this is a little more subjective to a community. And so leveraging partnerships, communications, all of those things to kind of establish the social fabric within one particular community is where I kind of cut my teeth in the industry. And then grew into a position where I was the community manager. So I was able to, stay within that community, which I knew and loved, and was able to kind of take it a little bit bigger. So working with the city and managing all of the aspects of 42 parks and, 40 plus miles of trails and what that means for snow removal in Colorado, and really kind of growing and developing the team as well. And then, based on all that experience with that company, we saw this kind of niche and need to expand our lifestyle services as an organization across our various markets that we worked in. And so I moved into a position there and kind of was able to structure kind of the foundation of what the lifestyle programming was for the company and the particular markets that I worked with. And so saw an extreme amount of growth back in the mid-teens. It's crazy to say, post the boom. And really trying to help developers and builders understand what lifestyle means in a community and how to leverage it to their advantage from a marketing perspective. How can you connect with consumers in a way that kind of makes sense to them so they can find their forever home, but actually understand what it's going to feel like, experience it for themselves, of what it means to actually live within that community. So all of that said, technology kind of plays a role into that. But really, taking all of that and identifying ways to continue to connect with people and identifying that, it is a big transaction. And so how can we make it easier for people to know where they're going to move, especially as so many people are relocating across the country, and leveraging storytelling, that sense of place and technology to kind of bring it all together is where it sits today. So.
Well, I appreciate the thoroughness, truly, in the backstory. So we'll go on to the second question now. What was the most inspirational moment that has shaped your career path?
Inspirational moment, I think, would be, it's going to sound silly, but we're gonna wind way back. And, when I originally wanted to go, when I went to Indiana University, I was kind of undecided, but I wanted to go pre-med because I wanted to be a baby doctor. Believe it or not, I wanted to be an OB/GYN and did not do that, clearly. But the reason for it is because I wanted to be a part of something big in people's lives and create experiences for them and have like those memorable moments. And so needless to say, chemistry and myself were not a good fit. And so I switched majors to tourism and hospitality. And really kind of leveraging that parks and recreation aspect of place and how to bring people together. And so one thing that has stuck with me is, having that ability to connect with people. And when I was a lifestyle director, we created this event that was huge. The developer loved it from a marketing perspective. The residents, we got to know them and they were super competitive. And so we were able to help them kind of draw that in and create this annual event. And I remember sitting there after these kids won. They won the first competition and everything else. And, I was like, they may never know my name or remember my name, but they will always remember winning Battle of the Blocks that first year, where they grew up, where they found those friends. And that was because of the hard work that my team and myself put into it. So I think that's where I started to really see the impact of residential real estate and creating that sense of place.
That is a great story. And I'm always amazed to hear kind of just the sidetracks, that individual fork in the road, whether it was a hospitality degree, and how that does relate to the building industry, the home building industry. We build communities now, and they seem to just pop up like that. So you do need to apply those methods to our madness to those communities. So you did it. That's awesome. So Debra, the third and final question, the theme behind the whole show: why do you do what you do?
Well, I think if I haven't said it enough, why I do what I do is really, for me, it's identifying ways to inspire people to come together and create a sense of place in communities and helping them kind of shape their best lives. And however I can impact that in a positive way is why I do what I do. So.
Fantastic. Well, Debra, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. I really appreciate hearing your story, and I can't wait to share it.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, Debra, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. And that concludes our 17th episode. I'm your host, Mark Sherlock, and always remember why you do what you do.